Hello and welcome to the Federal. Today we have with us activist and advocate Ms. Adhilakshmi Logamurthy, who is here to speak on the Supreme Court's recent statement advocating equal work rights for sex workers and the implications of such a statement. So, Ms. Adhilakshmi, what will be the overall impact of this judgment?
As a woman and as a lawyer working for the cause of the people who are in need, the voice of the voiceless, I should welcome this observation because this kind of people who are into sex work have never been recognized as humans as such. So Supreme Court, it's high time, have taken up this cause and has ventilated its view to give a dignified way of life to all these people who are involved into sex work, considering various situations. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights correctly says that all men are born free and every individual who is a major has a right to do anything of their choice if it is not against the public morality.
But legally speaking, where does India stand in terms of the legal framework provided for sex work when compared to other nations, both developed and developing nations? And what will this ruling change?
Here in India, prostitution, running a brothel, it is definitely not permitted. And any forceful induction into this trade by anyone of a girl or a woman, it is not welcome. It is punishable under the Indian Penal Code. And this kind of trafficking of women and girls for the purpose of prostitution, it's an offense that is punishable. And it is a penal sanction that attracts this. But here there is a difference. Even if you go through the operative portions or the highlighting words that has been given as an observation in the judgment, it speaks about the dignity of a human more than the appreciation of this sex trade. All the genders are such. It is not only that women as a gender has been affected. It's all the gender, they are into it. If you legalize sex in India, for example, there are few countries which do accept to an extent all these kind of situation. Here, there are a lot of abuse and violence of sexual nature happening for women. This particular observation in this particular judgment is giving a protection for the sex worker or the children of the sex worker and how dignified they have to be treated. And they, even though they are against law, if they are being confined to a brothel and they are being rescued, their identity has to be kept in secrecy and they should not come out. All these things only as a human being, you need this basic freedom or the basic dignity of a human has to be protected. That is what more personified in this observation of this Honorable Supreme Court's wordings of the judgment. Otherwise, still, this profession, this sex trade, I don't think it has been legalized in our country just because this judgment has come in. It is giving a dignity to this kind of people who are unfortunately into it. But if there is a day that is going to come, if this particular profession is legalized, I have a feeling a little bit of reduction in sexual harassment or sexual abuse or all these kind of rape might come down.
You just spoke about the entire process of legalizing it and how people who want to voluntarily get into it, that would be a welcome move for them. But, many fear that human trafficking would increase due to legalizing sex work. Would that
might be
that's justified?
Might be. There is a chance of that happening, but our system has to take care of it. Even today, there are so many missing girls, missing women complaints, and these women end up into sex trade. Trafficking of humans is worldwide. If a liberty is given to have this profession legalized, there might be a chance of more people coming into this profession. Then we have to see to that brothel homes are not run. We have to take stringent action and much more punishment. Today's punishment has to increase. So we have to help the government in the maximum possible way. We have to educate the women and the children, the evil of entering into this trade. If at all you don't have a occupation, of you voluntarily willing to go into this, that is a different thing. But you are not supposed to be forced into this profession. That's what is happening today. Immoral trafficking doesn't happen without the consent of a particular set of people. It might be a family, it might be a set of human who's all supporting this immoral trafficking. Trafficking or the offenders will not be able to get hold of every child or every woman without a system or a support which they have created illegally. That illegal system has to be broken by our machinery.
Different states within India seem to be approaching the issue of sex work differently. What, according to you, will be the pros and cons of how some states are handling it vis-a-vis the others?
Maybe one thing, people will start flocking to the place where it is legalized, where it is accepted. But I have a feeling if it is going to be somewhat legalized in our country, it will be in the length and breadth of the country. I don't think each and every state government will be given an option to legalize or non-acceptance of a particular state. I think if at all there is a legislation, it might take a little longer. It is not very sooner. The Law Commission has to look into it, and a lot of deliberations has to go on in various levels, and the pros and cons of bringing it up. It's a long process, not an easy process to work out the solution. But it might come up one day. It is the first step. I say this judgment is the first step to look into the issue. So far, many have spoken about the sex trade being legalized in our country in few deliberations, but not in a widespread way. So today, this judgment has opened up the debate or the discussion on this. So the pros and cons will be debated in various forums, and various people will be involved into this discussion, will come out with a solution. And I see this will become to at least partially, it will be legally accepted one day. It's not far away from today.
What is the immediate need to ensure that the ruling of the Supreme Court is followed in letter and spirit?
We are here to follow something is being told by a Supreme Court or a direction. For example, whatever the court says, if it is going to be the highest court of our country, the Constitution says if there is a legal lacuna, we can take it as a mere legislation till there is a legislation being enacted. So they have started, it's not the opening of a Pandora box. Few of my friends told it's an opening of a Pandora box. No, it is a long awaited one, which is not much being discussed.
What do you think should be the role of enforcement authorities when it comes to sex work? Does this judgment give specific guidelines, or should states formalize such guidelines? And what is the most important factor in the implementation of such guidelines?
Any judgment or any law is interpretation of each and every individual. So we have got a bigger platform based on this judgment. We can voice out for this voiceless. So we can bring in a pathway where it can lead to a legislation sooner or later. So then there is a legislation. How will the other connected legislation get affected? Will a woman forced into this trade by the family, will she have an option to go back to the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005, get a rescue? Will the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971 accept these kind of abortions more than what is given in that particular legislation? Will the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012, will it have a different connotation if a child is forced into it, or if the child was forced in and now she is a major, what are the implications? If she is willing to carry on this trade, what will the other mechanisms, the police department, the child welfare committee, the juvenile justice board, everywhere there will be a link in this when we get a judgment. So we have to deliberate in a very huge platform, and every walk of life, people from every walk of life has to come in. Every stakeholder has to give their opinion before coming to a conclusion to make a conclusive legislation.
So one last question to you, Ms. Adilakshmi. Do you think there is a larger social message that is being underlined by this judgment of the Apex Court that the court is trying to bring out to society?
In one word, Supreme Court, the Honorable Supreme Court has initiated as question before the whole society, not only the politicians or the people in power. It is a big question which is being kept before the society for every stakeholders to take it and answer it in the right perspective.
Thank you, Ms. Adilakshmi, for joining us.